We're working on the beautiful Indian River Bay today. We're going to be setting a very large tank. It's a tank that's 4.5 times the size of a normal tank. It's a 4,400 gallon tank. We're going to talk about all the coordination that's involved, how we make it happen, and why they need such an incredibly large tank. So this monster of a tank comes in 3 pieces. That's your middle piece, that's your top piece, and our bottom piece is over on the truck. The tank's size is dictated by the engineer, and it's based on the number of bedrooms the home is being built with. Before we can get to the tank, this site had an existing septic tank on it. So what we're going to have to do is pump it out, and then we're going to crush and fill it. And that's going to make way for the location of where we're going to put the new tank. Now that the tank is pumped, it's time to crush the top of it in and the walls and cave it in on itself. We don't want any cavities under the ground because they could lead to holes that settle later on. Now here you can see we're starting the hole for the new tank, which is right beside where the old tank was. So that's going to make for quite a muddy, nasty mess. Most septic companies in our area don't own an excavator this big. It's because it's just not necessary to do normal septic systems. But this is no normal septic system. We had to line up the excavator rental. We had to line up it being delivered. The tank manufacturer doesn't have tanks this size just laying around the yard. We had to line up them making the tank and then delivery of the tank. It's quite a bit to keep track of and make sure it all happens all at the same time without any problems. After we have the hole stabilized and ready for the tank, it's time to go ahead and set the bottom piece of the tank. Now you can see coming off the bottom edge of the tank is what we call a collar. That collar's there to make sure this tank doesn't float. I know it seems impossible for a tank this size to float, but when it's empty, there's a lot of pressure that's going to push up on this tank. So with that collar, the dirt that we backfill around the outside of the tank will sit on top of it and make sure that it holds this tank down. Now we specified to the engineer that we wanted a collar just like this because we don't want to put anyone too close to that hole, much less in the hole. Other styles of anchoring tanks down include metal straps that go around the tank or concrete pads on top of the tank. A lot of those are just ineffective in a hole like this. You need to make sure that you're keeping your crew safe, and that's what our priority was here. Now, as we're getting ready to set the middle part of the tank, we need to make sure we have this rubber gasket in that groove. The lip from the other tank will sit directly on top of that gasket, making it push out and complete a watertight seal. Now, we also need to make sure there's no dirt on these edges so the tank doesn't have any obstructions when making that connection. So what we do is we use multiple people around the hole with 10-foot sticks of pipe, and that allows us to get pretty good leverage on the tank or in this case, the middle section, to get it to fall right where it needs to. When you're connecting these two, it has to be exact. As you can see, the flush side there is very important. Now, to make sure this tank is watertight, we also put a waterproof membrane around the joints of the tank. It's really important all tanks be waterproof, but in this case, it's even more important because this is a holding tank. And a holding tank is where all the sewage goes into the tank and it doesn't go anywhere. It stays there until the alarm goes off, and then you call a pumper to come pump it out. Delaware allows these style tanks to be installed in certain circumstances, like if sewer's being offered in the near future, or the property has soils that don't perk for a septic at all. Now, it's really important that you get this job done as fast as you can, or that hole can get very dangerous. It takes a lot of planning, coordination, and experience to make this job happen in one day, which is what we did. We started in the morning and we had a happy customer in the afternoon.